Shalom, brothers and sisters. How are you doing? My name is Jason. I'm with the Yahuwah and the Torah channel. And I thank you very much for sitting in and listening and reading scriptures with all of us. We are the family that believes that the laws, statutes, and commandments that are found in the first 5 books of scriptures are the rules and regulations and the most beautiful thing that could ever be delivered to us. We have been blessed with life, and then we have been really blessed with life, and you find that inside of those laws. Those beautiful laws, statutes, and commandments, and these are what we try to reach people with. This is what Yah Scriptures is about. Yah Scriptures is a book that is 3,153 pages. It is almost 3 inches thick. It is a monstrous book. It is over 6 pounds. It has 3 different bookmarks. It has the restored name of the Creator, the restored name of His Son, our Messiah, the one who we will hopefully get to serve under, the one who will hopefully call us out of these lands that we are into and give us a shot in a world inside of a place that could be for eternity. Guys, it is the words of our Messiah is why we are here. And Yah Scriptures is available at yahscriptures.com. This is the website. It's not a beautiful thing, but it is what we have for right now. And it tells us a little bit about what Yah Scriptures is. Now, one thing about Yah Scriptures is everything we have that we can possibly give away for free, we always give away for free. And so one of the very first things is that if anybody wants to read these same things that we're reading right here, it's found in Yah Scriptures, the Apocrypha, single column, first edition, revision 6. It's the very last book, is the book of the Nazarene. And if you guys would like the actual Yah Scriptures, which is a combination, it's a hybrid of 2 different versions of scriptures that were both uncompleted, and now we believe it is a completed version. We believe that it is far more completed than what's out there. And there's been a lot of people inside of my family in a tremendous amount of time, a year and a half, with 3 or 4 and sometimes 5 people at all times, 8 to 10 hours a day, working through these scriptures and reading them and getting them ready for production. And everything we can give away for free. Guys, if you're eSword users, you have the full scriptures. The 66 book are into eSword, and that works for Android. It works for iOS devices. And also, Traditions of Men is another book that we rewrote, that we put out there. And Yah Scriptures, right here. Guys, this is the full Android app. Just about the same stuff that I am going to read with you guys right there. So this is available free of charge. This was thousands of dollars, hundreds and hundreds of hours. And it was the coders literally went bald pulling their hair out as we worked through the Paleo Hebrew, getting this into a version that I believe is perfect. There may be some weird stuff here and there, but as far as a perfected app that has the word of our Creator that has been restored and preserved, this is what it is. And guys, it's free of charge. And we've had a lot of downloads of it. But if you have an Android device at all, any sort of an Android TV, an Android, any device at all that runs Google stuff, this will run for it. Now, guys, the last thing is that Yah Scriptures, this is available in a book form. And how we are able to minister to the prisoners in terms of getting them scriptures is by the value of you guys getting one of these scriptures for you and your families. And you don't have to buy anything, but if you do buy something, we are able to get these Bibles into prisons. And guys, we are shipping them in mass. And so we are, we're 100% for everybody that has come to us and asked us for scriptures. We are 100%. And so that is pretty amazing. And what we were hoping with Yah Scriptures is that we are able to develop a free Bible printing press, and nobody's bills are paid with Yah Scriptures. There's nothing other than strictly supporting the printed version and supporting all of our brothers and sisters in chains who we write to daily, and who, if there's anybody out there that would like to have a mission that is a kingdom mission, and you have heart and you have time to spare and would like to be on the Yah Scriptures prison ministry team, right now we're looking for those who are willing to work with the death row folks. And so if you are willing to spend any of your time and to get in this little clique and to start talking to these brothers and sisters in chains, for those of you who are female, we can set you up with the females and show you how and be a part of the entire system and be a support team for you guys out there as well for the support of these prisoners. And so this is something that we're trying to build very delicately, because there are a tremendous amount of people. And right now our focus is Texas death row inmates. And we have had a tremendous amount of response from all of our brothers and sisters on death row who call it life row. And they would gladly take others who are willing to be a part of the kingdom work and minister to these brothers and sisters all the way till their last breath. And for those who don't think this is a noble cause, guys, all of these people are being held against Torah. If we were doing the right things according to the laws of our Creator, these people that did these crimes would have immediate execution. They would have rocks. We would take them outside the city gates and we would get the evil out of our presence. Holding them captive for 39 years or 40 years, not giving them a death sentence. Guys, this is all unbiblical. This is all the stuff that is not right. And so these guys deserve our support. They've been in there. A lot of these guys have been in there for a very, very long time. One homeboy, his name's Terry. He's been out there for 39 years, right? 39 years on death row without an execution date. And so these guys are the most receptive people. And this is a chance that all of us can have to bring an individual into the kingdom. If you're sitting there with an expiration date and you have a team of people who are willing to sit and explain to these guys the laws, statutes, and commandments, and this is what I tell all of them. I say, guys, according to Revelation 14:12, it takes two things to have salvation, right? The end time people, it took two things: people that keep the laws, statutes, and commandments, the Torah, the way forward, and those who have the faith of Messiah, Yahushua, Jesus. That's what Revelation says. That's what Scripture says. There's no once saved, always saved. Matthew 7 very clearly tells us that many people will be told to depart because they're lawless. They're Torahless. They don't care about the laws of our Creator. So this is what I'm always in the conversation with. We'll talk about jungle stuff. We'll talk about life stuff. We'll talk about their stuff. We talk about all sorts of stuff. I spend a tremendous amount of time writing back to these guys. And it helps. And they're very, very thankful that somebody's out there. And when you are kind and gentle to people, and when you explain to people that there is a different way, and that our Creator has given us 120 years to fix life and to get life where we need to be, this is hopeful on their way out that they could have eternity with our Creator. If so, they will repent, right? And nobody makes it to death row unless the most heinous of evil stuff has been done. But guys, they're still human beings. They made very, very bad decisions, very, very bad choices. Probably all had unclean spirits as they're doing with it. But guys, there's always hope for everybody. And so the brothers and sisters are very easy to fish for as long as we give them love. Now, enough of that. Let's go into this. Book of the Nazarene. And again, the words of our Messiah and the way our Messiah is why I always do what we do and why we try to show love where we are. And it's also why I'm able to attempt to chisel my own walk and my own being as I read through these scriptures. They're amazing things, and let's begin. So this is Messiah as he's out walking amongst the people. At this time, Yahushua always kept some Talmudim with him when he walked about. And one Shabbat, he and two of them were following a small pathway leading past uncut corn ripening in the husk. The Talmudim plucked a handful for the Torah, permitted them to do this, providing they did not enter the field or take any away, and, rubbing the ears between their fingers, ate the grain. 3 Parashim, Pharisees, were passing by, and they rebuked the Talmudim and said to Yahushua, "Why do you allow your followers to do things which not permitted on the Shabbat?" Now, the problem was right here, and why these Pharisees and why people don't understand what the Pharisees are even talking about, is these Pharisees didn't just have Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. They have all of their oral Torah, which is rabbinic Jewish people, their priests or their people they put in their hierarchy. It's their words throughout the years and how they interpret things. And a lot of the stuff came out of Babylon when they came out. And so the parashim that we're talking about this are confused because according to all of their hundreds of other books outside of Torah, the real Torah, and they call all of their stuff Torah as well, but the real Torah is simply 5 books of scriptures. So they're confused and they're saying, why do you allow your people to work? They considered that taking a handful of grain. And if you guys have never seen what a handful of grain is, I grew up on a farm, and you can literally just pull it off, roll it around in your hand, and it takes all the little the beard stuff out of there and the shells out of there, and it becomes a seed, and you can simply eat that. And so that is the thing inside of Judaism that nobody gets, because you either deal with a set of people called the Jews or the set of people called the Christians, and the Christians thinks that anybody that's keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of our Creator are Jews. They don't understand the Jews have a totally different doctrine than people who are just trying to walk on the way. So the question is, why do you allow your followers to do things not permitted on the Shabbat? Yahushua answered, does the deed affect the day? Have you not read that when driven by hunger, David went into the house of Yahuwah and took the sanctified loaves to eat, sharing them with his men? Though these loaves were reserved for the fare of the Kohanim, did he not justify himself by saying all produced by the earth were for the use of men? Surely the Shabbat was made for the sake of man, and not man for the sake of the Shabbat. As man bows to the needs of life, so the Shabbat must bow to the needs of men. Okay, so as man bows to the needs of life, so the Shabbat must bow to the needs of men. Wow, what do we have here? Guys, this is why this book is so packed with wisdom. It is so packed with understanding. In the religion of Judaism, you can't even, like when we were first trying to figure out Torah, we got hooked into this little Judaism site, and we were literally ripping toilet paper on the day before Shabbat so we didn't have to rip toilet paper. That is what Judaism teaches. They will actually, the Jews will hire goyim to turn their lights on and off so that they don't have to do it. We've been contacted by people who take the Shabbat as a day, and this gentleman, it's so sad because right before Shabbat begins at night on a Friday, he flips all of his lights off and he will sit there in darkness. And he sits throughout the night, he sits the next day, and he never ever does anything. He just kind of sits there. And that's what he thought he was supposed to do. Now, those kind of thinking, when Messiah talks about this, there's something that we have to understand. The very first thing he says, does the deed affect the day? Now, before everybody starts cooking on the Shabbat or everybody starts doing servile work on the Shabbat, we have to understand the deed is what we're talking about is feed, right? The food. It basically is them eating food affecting the day of the Shabbat. Is it defiling it? And Messiah very clearly says no. And then he goes in to talk about sometimes that the Shabbat has to bow for us, that it has to bend to suit the man. And sometimes we will run into incidents where we absolutely have to go out on a Shabbat and we're, for some reason, to go help people or to go do something or to save somebody or to save a friend. And we have to understand that does the deed, is what we're doing, is it going to affect the way the Shabbat is supposed to work? And sometimes we're not always going to get the exact rest of a Shabbat because life has issues. Sometimes your oxen will fall into a ditch on a Shabbat, and Messiah is very clear that who allows their animal to sit there and wail around in a ditch, even on a Shabbat, right? And then he talks about David, right? This is something really, really huge because we don't have any scriptures where we have the basically the voice of authority telling us that what David did was okay. because we do know that he went in and they were very, very hungry. They were on the run. There was no food. And these loaves of bread basically saved their lives. And we don't have other examples inside of scriptures where an event like this happened, where people outside that absolutely would not be entitled to this bread, but the bread fed them, because this is the love of our Creator. This is what our Creator does, is he makes things happen. And sometimes it doesn't always feel right. But in the eyes of taking care of people, in the eyes of, are you simply eating by putting your hands together and making grain? They didn't have any food. So the deed, if they did not run the grain together, and they happened to be out on Shabbat, they were unable to prepare, and they're hungry, do they go hungry on that day? Because we have other scriptures that says don't start a fast on a Shabbat. That's something else that's in extracurricular text that we understand. So continuing on, this is all just incredible wordage. Towards evening, as they returned, Yahushua saw a man working in the fields and said to him, if your labors are dedicated to the service of Elohim, you are Baruch. But if it is otherwise, you are a lawbreaker. Okay, so Messiah, we get a bit more clear understanding of what is happening, right? So it's towards evening. The sun has not set. There's a man in the field working on a Shabbat, and Messiah calls this guy out. And this is how to understand what is servile work. Are we doing something that we don't need to do on a Shabbat? Like if we have cows, we should be taking our grass the day before, and we should be cutting it. We should be having it all ready. So the worst that we have to do is stuck it in a wheelbarrow and stick it out there. So this guy's out there working on a day. Now, how could it be Baruch? How could it be blessed in the eyes of our Creator? Well, what happens if what he was doing excuse me, was able to affect some horrible thing that was happening on a Shabbat? If he was saving the day, say somebody's roof top was completely broken open and their house is getting destroyed, or it's under a sick person inside of the house, the rain's coming in, this guy could go out there and just cut some grass, lay it down, stick it over, and cover those people up. I don't know if that would be considered okay. I'd probably move the sick person over there. So it's probably not a good example, but Messiah clearly says, if it's not dedicated to the service of Elohim, if you're not somehow changing the world, and it's an absolute, without a shadow of a doubt, necessity, then we're a lawbreaker, right? And we do not want to be a lawbreaker on a Shabbat, at any point, and especially on a Shabbat. We don't want to be those people. So continuing on, the Talmudim, hearing this, said, Adonai, is there so much a difference between the things of the morning and the things of the evening? Yahushua said, the same difference as between an empty stomach and a full one. The same thing may be forgiven one man, but not another. And this is another reason why I am so glad I don't have to judge people. I don't have to be a part of judging anything, because I am not qualified in any way, shape, or form. But we know we have a Creator of the universe who's so tapped into a fiber optic network of our mind, heart, and soul that he knows everything that we do, everything we say, that's omnipotent power. That's what we want in a creator. We want somebody who has power, authority, and we want somebody who walks with righteousness and tells us to walk with righteousness. Imagine if Hasatan was the creator of the world. He wouldn't care what happened. He wouldn't care. As long as there was complete, utter chaos and all souls going to him, he just wouldn't care. But we have a better creator, and we have a better way, which is called the Torah. And we have a better leader, which is called Messiah Yahushua. So we have some amazing stuff. And where some things may be forgiven one man, it may not be forgiven another. The day of judgment is going to be something incredible. I don't think any of us are going to be happy about this. We're going to get to revisit a lot of unclean things, a lot of dirty thoughts, a lot of bad ideas, a lot of bad decisions, a lot of horrible things that us as people, hopefully, as we get closer to the kingdom, we do less and less and less until we are a better people. And that passes behind us. And that's why we have a Messiah. And we hope that we don't have to revisit that old man on the day of judgment. We hope that our advocate, Messiah, says, look, Yahweh, Dad, Father, these people have been faithful. They are not lawless. Let's take them in. Okay, so continuing on. On another Shabbat, Yahushua came out of the Hayekol, the temple, to be accosted by a man with a paralyzed arm who said, Adonai, I am a mason who can no longer be useful and must humiliate myself by begging for food to feed my family. Let me become a whole man again, not for my sake, but for the sake of those depending upon me. Nearby stood some self-righteous members of the congregation who watched closely to see what Yahushua would do. But he, knowing their thoughts, called them over and said, Let me know your views concerning the keeping of the Shabbat. Should good be done when it would be uncharitable to leave it undone? They said, We abide by the Torah as it is interpreted for us by those knowing better than we. Oh boy, before we even go into what happens here, guys, this is what religion has done to the world, right? You have 41,000 different religions out there, and not a single one of them are straight scriptures. Not a single one of them are by the book. You have a Seventh-day Adventist, they ain't by the book. But everybody thinks they are. You have Mormons who people consider goody two-shoes that don't even use the Torah and don't even use the real scriptures. Guys, every one of these religions is a cult. It is a cult of death. It is a cult of Satan because he has orchestrated that somehow 41,000 different people are able to get together and write their own rules for the religion that they want to bestow upon man. We have a seventh-day Shabbat. Does anyone keep it? The people of Yah do. There's a commandment to keep the holy feast, Passover, trumpets, right? Sukkot. We have all of these appointed times. It's called appointed times for a reason. It's the times we're supposed to be getting with our Creator and figuring these feast days out to the very best of our abilities. But we don't, right? It's like because people say that we abide by what we think and is interpreted to us by those knowing better than we, right? The man at the 501c3 church, the one that people pay 10% to and should be taking grain and oxen and stuff to instead of sending them hard, cold cash. Continuing on, Yahushua became angry and was hurt in his heart, for their hard-heartedness and wrongful interpretation of the Torah were indications of their spiritual apathy. So he healed the man's arm. The self-righteous see no wrong in themselves, only in others, and they interpret all things to accord with their own convenience. Guys, these are hard things to hear because when we look at these words in a mirror of reflection upon us and our own lives, guys, I fall short. I fall short on a tremendous amount of stuff that Messiah says. The book of the Nazarene Khalidi, along with other scriptures, they scare me. They scare me that I am not the Kadesh person that I need to be, that I've been too long in Babylon, too hard on Babylon. But you know what? There is a path forward. And the very best that we can do is try our very best and chisel it out. Every time we have one of these unclean thoughts from the days of Babylon or horrible things, or we decide we're going to make a crude or evil joke or something that's going to come and haunt us in the day of judgment, we need to ask our Creator to please block this. Forgive us for these evil thoughts. Please strike this from our hearts, minds, and souls that it does not plague us in our minds. Because once we are subjecting ourselves with our eyes, the eyes are the windows to the soul, and we get corrupted. That's why pornography is just a demonic, satanic, evil adultery making setup of disgusting madness that it has just corrupted the world. It has corrupted everything that we know of morals. And it continues on. And you look at who is the leader of it, and it comes out of Babylon, Mystery Babylon. It comes out of North America. It comes out of the West Coast. 80% of all pornography comes out of California. And you look and you see what California has become today. You look and you see the judgments that are falling upon North America. And you know that at some point it's going to be too much. What we have hope for, even those of us still stuck in North America, is that there is going to be a second Exodus. And regardless of how wicked and how wild it's going to go, we're going to fall in the tribulation. We may all die. That is quite a possibility. But there's also a possibility that there is a group of people, a remnant, who will have an Exodus, who will walk on crystal lakes and be able to have an Exodus from all four corners of these plains. That's what it says. When Mount Zion comes down, when the new kingdom comes down on Mount Zion and the Messiah is established, that's what Scripture says. This is what I believe. And I don't want to believe in a world of evil. I don't want to believe that I would be stuck with all of these people who are literally demonic Satanists, people that enjoy evil. They enjoy what Hollywood produces. They enjoy what's on the television programming. They enjoy this worldly music that corrupts our kids and takes our families to school and has our kids with these RF-inducing, cancer-ridden ear pods that sit there and crush us with horrible music, right? This is where we're at. This is why the remnant takes this stuff and we throw this crap away, that we do not sit there and plague ourselves and our lives with satanic music and satanic movies and all of this, guys. We need to be those people. So Messiah's clearly not happy. Continuing on. Then the self-righteous ones left, plotting among themselves, and they decided to become supporters of Herodes, who was against Yahushua. These people are like, they jumped ship, right? Let's go into Herod. Let's go hang out with Herod. They said, let us set a trap for this troublemaker who condemns our ways. He reproaches us for wrongdoing when we simply obey the Torah, and accuses us of things which he declares to be sinful, but which are not more than natural weaknesses of men. Guys, this reminds me of the pork-loving people of the religions, that they have literally said that all food has been made clean, when nowhere in scriptures does it say all food has been made clean. And they're like, oh, it's okay. These are weaknesses of men. We'll pray over this. Father, please bless this pork. Help it to not be an unclean food that completely ravages our insides and makes us sick and puts us in a hospital and kills us eventually. Help it not to be that. But then they sit there and eat it, and there's just that delicious salt they cannot find anywhere else. And it is the natural weaknesses of men, is what they'll say. Continuing on, this is what the people are saying about Messiah. He proclaims himself to be the mouthpiece of Elohim, so let us test him and see. Let us find out whether he speaks true or false. We will send men to beat him up, and then we will see then whether Elohim comes to his aid. Let other men abuse him and hurl insults at him, heaping every kind of indignity upon him, treading him roughly to test his gentleness. We will heckle him and cause commotion wherever he speaks, and see whether he abides by his own teachings under provocation. They laid their plans. However, there were others who came to Yahushua and asked him how they would recognize the deliverer when he appeared among them. Yahushua said, is it not written? He will judge the disinherited and lowly who trust in him. He will smite the earth with the rod of his tongue and destroy wickedness. He will be girdled with integrity and belted with trustworthiness. What's amazing is people, Messiah sitting here just getting drilled. These people have to literally hatch a ruse, a plan, to take him to school, right there. This is what the Son of the Most High had to endure when he could simply nod his head and crush every single one of these people around him. And he didn't do that. He let them hatch these plans and to actually get them through and to end up killing him. But then they ask him, how are we going to ever figure out who this deliverer is? And this is how much these people didn't know scriptures, because he was talking about himself. And he's there, Messiah's there judging the disinherited and lowly. Right? He's smiting the earth with the rod of his tongue and destroying wickedness. He's the most integrity-filled person ever, right? And belted with trustworthiness. This is who our leader is, guys. This is our Messiah. This is who King Messiah Yahushua is. He's all of these things. Then some said, surely this man is Yahuwah's anointed, right? The people are able to like, wow, he's describing himself. And then they're like, this looks just like the guy. Someone said, Adonai, how do we know the deliverer will come to us? Yahushua said, is it not written? He will come to the worthy and just, but to the people he will be like a winnowing fan, ensuring only the best are gathered in. It is also said he will Baruch, bless those who follow him with wisdom and gladness. He will be sinless, gathering together a dedicated people who he will lead in righteousness as an example to all nations. They will cast out the Belial from their midst. Those born in the days of the deliverer will witness the things he will do for the generations which follow. Guys, this is him. He's sitting there talking about him. This is him. All of those people were able to walk with our Creator's Son and to see him in action, to see all of this stuff. He continues on and he says, is it not also written, the words of his mouth will smite the earth forever? And for the chosen among men, there will be a guiding light for the rest of their days. Guys, this is it. This is our guiding light. This is the kingdom to come. This is the world that if you want to be a part of, if you want righteous friends, if you want people that are Torah loving, Yah loving, Yahushua loving, neighbor loving as yourself people, that will be the people of our Creator. That's going to be a good place where everybody knows the Torah. You don't have to tell your friends. You don't have to tell your neighbors because everybody knows it. Guys, I'm describing Jeremiah 30 and 31 and Hebrews 8. That's the new covenant that it's talking about, a time in the future when people decide they want to be a part of the kingdom. And people will not be part of this kingdom unless there's people like you and me that are out there that are witnessing to them. They've been witnessed to for decades and decades with the Christian doctrine that is insane. Raise your hand, ask Jesus in your heart. Once saved, always saved. You can't get lost. Guys, that is a recipe for disaster. That is a recipe for souls bound into shackles of a hell forever. And how many people have already been there? How many good Christians are out there? How many good Catholics are out there? All of these people have been paved with doctrination and traditions of men that do not hold any kind of weight when it comes to scriptures. The scriptures talk about an obedient set of people. The people of our Creator, Yah's people, the Hebrews, the Ephraim, are the people who believe the laws, statutes, and commandments and have Messiah Yahushua as their leader, as the Son of the Most High who became our Melchizedek priest, who became our sacrifice, and he is now the light for the rest of our days. So we can either embrace that and take that and be happy for a world outside of this terrible place. This place is getting worse. It's getting worse all around us, guys. All we got to do is endure to the end. Much love to y'all. I'm out.